Hello, everyone. It's Sherry Chaney Jones, author of Impact and Excellence and founder and president of Measurement Resources Company. I'm so excited and grateful that you have joined us today to learn the secrets to high performance in the social sector. And this has been something that I have been so excited to share for a really long time, and if you could see me in my office right now, I am giddy for the opportunity to share the content that I have to share with everyone today. And I really enjoy more of a live person when it comes to teaching and training. It definitely is my preference to be in front of you live and in person. But I love that we can have this webinar format or this webcast format so I can talk to you and reach out to you and share knowledge and content with you wherever we are in the world. So my intention for us today and the time that we have together is to give you the gift of a rare hour, 45 minutes or so out of your very, very busy day, of your very, very important work, to have a moment of professional development and growth. And my intention for you today is that you use this time to reflect on where you are and what you're trying to achieve, and give you some strategies or tips for what could make it the easiest path for you, the path of least resistance for your success. And I know many of you you're doing amazing work, and you have so many things you could be focusing on or that you should be focusing on right now. And so to give me this hour is a true, it's treasure. I know it's time that is treasured. So I want to make it the most valuable for you during this webcast. So please, if you can, try to minimize distractions and be fully present in this hour, because it's a rare gift for you to be able to just really reflect on what is your current state, what are you doing, and what you hope to accomplish in the coming months or the coming days. So, for those of you on the call who do not know me, we have not met before, I am Sherry Chaney Jones, and I have been a social sector leader for approximately 17 years. I actually started my career as an industrial and organizational psychologist, so I thought I was going to design selection tests for a living for big corporations and help them hire the right people. But luckily, the universe had a different path for me, and my very first job was helping individuals with severe and persistent mental illness find work. And what that means, or what was going on, is that I was using IO psychology principles and applying them to individuals who were suffering from mental illness but wanted to work, and helping find what is that right fit for them so they could be successful in a career. And that was such a blessing to have that opportunity, because it allowed me to open up my eyes to what was possible and how I could use my skills to make a difference, and to use this data-driven skills, organizational development skills, and passions that I had to make a difference for the social sector. And from there, it led me to a career as the Deputy Director of Performance Evaluation of the Franklin County Domestic and Juvenile Courts. And then I went on to work as the Performance Center Manager with the Department of Aging. In both of those roles, I had the opportunity to take, both of these were brand new positions. The directors were visionaries, and they saw a need for someone in-house to help them evaluate their programs and evaluate their impact and value. And so I got to create new processes, new measures, and now I have a term for it. I was able to transform these organizations to high-performing cultures while I was there, and the results that I was seeing was really astounding and very positive for not only the organizations, but for the people that were being served by these organizations. And I would look around during that time, and I wondered, why wasn't everybody else doing this? What was the struggle? What was the barriers? There seemed to be such a need for this work out in the community, and very few organizations were doing it. So I felt a call to start Measurement Resources, it's an independent organizational development and research firm, and we work exclusively with government and nonprofit organizations to help them measure and communicate their impact and value. And many of you may know me through my book, Impact and Excellence, which was published in 2014, which lays out the path of how to create high-performance measurement cultures. And since 2010, when I left the state of Ohio, we've had the privilege of working with more than 75 government and nonprofit organizations, directly helping them create these high-performance cultures. And I've been able to train thousands of leaders just like you to help them create their cultures. And so it's such an honor today to share this content and knowledge with you that I've had a burning desire to share for a while. Because if you're anything like me, I know that you came into this work and you approach your job every day because you have a big vision. You can see a future for those that you serve and for those in your organization and the impact that it can be making. And that's why you're there, because you're there because you can see the impact. And it's what I saw for when I was working with the courts and when I was working with seniors, and it's what I see today for when we're working with our clients that we work with, is we see the vision that they see and want to help them get there. And I know you see that for your clients or your community or the impact that you're making in the world. And you have a vision for them and a vision for your organization that's different. I also know that you are approaching your work because you are driven to make a difference. And the people that you work with every single day are there because they're driven to make a difference. Nobody comes into this line of work to be wealthy. That's not their primary motivation. Of course, they want to make a decent living and a decent wage. But the reason that they're here and the reason that they show up every day for those on your team and those volunteers and those working on your boards is that they truly want to make a difference for those that you serve. And you're probably also motivated to leave a mark on the world. You're not here, you wouldn't come to a call about high performance if you didn't desire to make a mark on this world, that you had a legacy that you wanted to make. And if you could just make one small change or one small splash in your community, or maybe you have bigger visions and in your state or federal or the world, wherever you are on that spectrum, you show up every single day and do what you do every single day because of your desire to leave a mark on this world and to leave a legacy. And the ultimate goal, and we've had the privilege now, like I said, to work with more than 75 government nonprofit organizations and have trained thousands of others. When we do the work that we do and we ask organizations and individuals, why do you do what you do, and we go through their logic models and play it out, at the end of the day, the answer I hear from almost everyone when we play out their logic model and on that is impact goals comes down to a happier, healthy, thriving communities where everyone succeeds. So it seems like all of us in the sector, government and nonprofits included, whether they're working with children or adults or seniors or those who are incarcerated or those who are experiencing health challenges, or even if they're administrative overbodies that are administrating funds to deliver these programs, or even arts organizations, their ultimate goal is to create these healthy, thriving communities where everyone succeeds and there's no elimination of inequities and elimination of social justice. That's everyone's goal. That's what we're all striving to do. Yet, I'm sure you've had this experience, as I have seen it, is if everybody has the same goal, and if we really are working towards the same objective, then why is social change so hard? I see it on a daily basis. There's all of these barriers and obstacles, and everywhere you turn, you may feel like you're being met with barriers and obstacles that are keeping you from getting to that big vision. And you're left asking yourself, why, if we're all coming together with the same goals and we all want these healthy, happier, thriving communities, then why is it so hard to get a local change passed? Or why is it so hard to get my board to understand why this new program or this new policy direction is going to create that ultimate outcome? Or why is it so hard to get my staff, who says they came to work for us because they wanted to make a difference, to do the things differently that they need to do to make a difference? And if you're like me, you that frustrates you because you're looking around thinking, okay, we all agree this is what we're here for, so why are there all these barriers, and why are all these obstacles to getting where we want to go? And it comes down to the curse of the not enough. And I feel like anytime I start to probe and ask questions, or I've found that every time I start to probe and ask questions of organizations and leaders around what stopped you, why didn't you do that program, or why didn't you go take that new initiative, or why the law wasn't changed in this favor, it's typically the curse of the not enough. The first curse is the perception that there's just not enough time, that we have too much time to do what we need to get accomplished, and we're just too busy and we don't have enough time. That's typically the very first barrier that will be presented. And if it's not enough time, then the next curse we often hear is not enough resources, or not enough resources for me. All the resources go to mental health, or all the resources now are going to children and babies, or all the resources are going to the arts and the fun things, or we can't raise money because we deal with incarcerated people and people don't they don't want to give money to that particular cause. And it's funny because if you sit at my view and you get to see everybody, leaders in all of these sectors, everybody's saying the same thing. And so that can't be true, because if everybody's saying, oh, we're not getting the money, or we can't raise the money because they get the money, and then on the other side they're saying, oh, we don't get the money, we can't have the money because they get the money, well, both people are saying the same thing about each other, so that's not a reality. But that's the barrier. Typically, we don't have enough money to do this, or we can't raise enough money, or nobody's funding it, or there's not a funder. And so that stops right there, is there's just not enough resources. And the third curse of the not enough that stops social change from happening, that stops the collective impact that we all espouse on our mission statement that we want to have happen in these healthy and thriving communities, is the not enough expertise, or the problem is just too big and I can't step into those shoes, I can't fill those shoes. And the other day it happened, I was in a meeting and someone spoke up and said, it's just unrealistic for us to solve this problem. This problem will always be here and it will always grow, and it's unrealistic that we can solve it. And so I think what that person is saying in the curse of the not enough is that the problem feels too big and I don't even know where to start. So I'm not even going to go down that path because I may fail, is where I really think is going on in that person's mind, or why we stop ourselves with the not enough. I don't have enough skills to do this. I don't have the capacity to do this. I don't have the knowledge. I don't have the connections. And those are the curses of the not enough. And if you find yourself in that pattern and find yourself where you're experiencing these things and you all have a direction and you've bought into collective impact and you truly want to make a difference, but yet your reality is the barriers and the not enoughs, you're not alone. We actually found that's the current state of the social sector. And if you're following along on the slides, I'm right now showing a slide of the research that we found in Impact and Excellence, where we looked at government and nonprofit organizations and looked at, how are they using data, and were they using data to strategically make decisions and increase organizational outcomes and achieve the things they all want, like increased efficiency, increased impact, increased revenues, increased organizational development and culture and change, and successfully managing change. And what we found is that only 25% of the sector had been able to develop what we call high-performance cultures. And the majority were in this low culture place, meaning they weren't bad, and they weren't, doing horrible, but they just hadn't figured out how to get to that place to high performance, where they were consistently moving the needle beyond expectations, and they were truly seeing the social change and the impact that they desire. And so the majority of the sector does live in this place of the curse of the not enoughs and the barriers and the frustrations, despite their motivation and their vision to move forward. And I want to tell you today, or what if I could tell you today, that you can break through those barriers, that those barriers are there, but they don't have to remain there forever. Just like when you're working with your clients or the communities that you serve, most of you probably deal with people with significant challenges. Maybe they have been in chronic poverty or been incarcerated or have significant health challenges or have faced a lot of adversity in their lives or overcoming trauma. And you're there in their lives to give them the message of hope and to give them the skills and the resources and the next steps they need to overcome their barriers. And I see that as my role for you today, is to give you some of those insights, those strategies, those next steps to help you overcome those barriers in this current environment. And because I'm a researcher and I come from everything from a data-driven place, not only do I know this to be true because I want it to be true, but I know this to be true because the research that we did has shown us that it is true. Because there is no relationship between an organization's size, budget, and proven social change. It's been, there are big organizations that are not doing very well at all at creating these cultures of high performance and showing up and leading for impact. And then there's the smaller nonprofits or government agencies that are just having tremendous impact. And year over year, we're starting to see significant changes in their communities or the people that they serve because of the approaches that they're taking. So there is a solution. It isn't up to chance. There is something that leaders can be doing differently to have a difference. And I've been thinking a lot lately about, well, why, we can make a difference. We all want to make a difference, and you have all these barriers and the curse of not enough. And I think what's been happening is that over the last probably 10 years or so, maybe 15, there's been a gradual sector shift in donor behaviors and how funding decisions are made. And so these have been happening slowly, and the reason I have a picture of my youngest daughter here is that, when you live in a house with someone, a young child, you see gradual significant changes in their look and in who they are over a few years, and you don't even recognize it. You don't even recognize the change that has happened to them until you go back and look at how things were before. You go back and look at old pictures. And that's the same thing I think is true for the sector. There's been a really slow, gradual change, and especially kind of catapulted even faster after about the Great Recession in 2008 or so, with how funders are making decisions, how donors are even making decisions or deciding to show up and share with, if they're going to share their time, their talents, their treasures, their resources to an organization. And there's been this move to defining your unarguable value. What is it about your organization that makes you the unique one that deserves my resources or my time over another organization? And we've definitely seen this from government funders asking for you to prove your impact, and corporate funders have definitely jumped on this expectation as well. Some of the national funders of larger national nonprofits are getting into this game and even going as far as to say, I want to see my ROI, what is my social return on investment for the funds that you're giving, and they want you to prove it. And so the mindset shift has been happening in these higher level decision makers and funders, and now it's even starting to trickle down to the local level and to even the individual and the private donor is starting to ask these tough questions. They want you to prove your impact, prove that you are worthy of their money and investment in resources. And so why this shift has been happening, and as these things have been happening slowly and gradually, something else has been happening at the sector. And budgets were tightening, and cuts were being made, and budgets were tightening. So everyone hunkered down and was focusing on really survival, focusing on just producing the service or the product or the results that they produce, and just trying to keep their lights on and their staff employed and their programs operating and running so they can continue to have the impact that they want to have. And you may feel that way and you may see that as you think about the gradual shift and look back to, where you were 5 to 7, 8 years ago and where we are today. And maybe you'll realize that gradual shift that's happened, and understand that as it was happening and that change was happening, you were in crisis mode. You were in putting out fire mode, and just couldn't have time or energy, or maybe it was out of your control, but it was in the control of your board or legislative bodies or administrative or personnel that they were cutting budgets, they were tightening the belts, they were keeping. There was no money for development. There was no money for professional development and gaining new skills and gaining new talents. And so as the world was shifting, you were staying the same. Not because you wanted to stay the same, but just because that was what you were forced to do because of the environment of where things were. And so I think where that brings us to today is this, this famous saying or analogy that if you do what you've always done, you're going to get what you've always gotten. And so as the landscape has changed and the environment has changed, when I look at most organizations and how they're operating, they're still operating the way they were operating 5 to 10 years ago. And they're the same rules that are being applied and the same strategies that are being applied and the same mindsets that are being applied, and they're expecting to get the results that they got before. But the landscape has changed. And so those same things they're getting the same results, but they're not the same results that they want today. They're getting today they don't work, and so they keep trying to do it and don't know why they're not working. It's because everything has changed. So the way you can move ahead, and I'm here to give you hope that there's a solution, the way to move ahead and the way to move forward is change. Change is the only way to success. There is no other way to success because the landscape has changed, the environment has changed. So we can't do what we've always done and expect new results. We have to change what we're doing, and we have to think of things in a different way and approach the work that we do in a slightly different way. And I want to show you today how you can do that and what you need to do in your organization to help yourself as well as those that you work with and your peers and your leaders to take that change. And I knew it was possible. I knew that high performance and significant results, and especially in difficult budget seasons, were possible. And I'm reflecting back a lot on what went on back in 2008 to where we are right now, especially when I look at what's going on at the federal level and the impact it may or may not have on our local and state levels, is that the vision of what is possible when we do things differently. And so when I was at the Department of Aging, I had the opportunity to work with a high-achieving leader, and Director Barbara Riley is phenomenal and a wonderful mentor to me. And when I worked with her, I thought to myself immediately, within the first week of working with her, it's possible. High achievement is possible in the social sector. And she was very open to change and open to my experience and my knowledge and my skills to come in and bring this lens of high performance measurement cultures and creating the systems and increasing the capacity of our staff and the way we look at data and use data to make a difference. And as we shifted the culture of the organization, we were also facing a significant budget crisis. And we knew that could have a devastating impact on Ohio seniors and their ability to stay in their own homes. And our mission was to promote choice, independence, and quality of life for aging seniors. And we needed to, it was our mission to allow seniors to stay in their own homes and get high quality care that they need. And as a result, it actually was very fiscally responsible stewards of public tax dollars, because home and community-based care was significantly less money than nursing home level care. And while we were doing this, we were able to prove how the home and community-based programs in Ohio saved the state of Ohio $250 million a year in Medicaid. And if they expanded that program, it would save even more dollars in Medicaid year over year in a time in which Ohio was facing a significant budget crisis. And we were able to use this data and information to reverse a funding cut decision and actually get the funding cuts, get them back. And that was unprecedented. It was unheard of. And it also changed the thoughts and minds of entrenched thinking that had been thinking for years and years and years around, we can't, if we give more money or if we fund this program, people will come in and they'll be, what they called it, but like the woodwork effect. People will crawl out of the woodwork to access these services. And maybe you've heard that expression as well in the work that you do. But we were able to use real data and real information in real time for decision makers to see the impact of their work so they can make smart decisions and let go of a lot of those myths and barriers that they may have been operating under. And so I knew that there was a vision. I knew that this could be possible, and that was part of what inspired me to start Measurement Resources and write Impact and Excellence. And I thought at the time, and I still am very excited about what we share and the work that we share in Impact and Excellence. But in my journey with teaching and training leaders like yourselves on how to create these high-performance cultures. And in Impact and Excellence, we outline, the 5 proven and practical steps to get there. And there were some leaders who we trained who were able to absorb that content and go through our trainings, or we would work with them individually to get their measures set up and everything set up. And they would run with it. And now I get their, this is my favorite thing, when I get their newsletters or their annual reports, and I get to see them managing the process on their own and can see year over year how they're able to communicate their impact, and we're no longer involved, and they're doing it on their own. Nothing thrills me more. And so there are organizations who've been doing that, and they've been increasing their impact and increasing their kind of elevating themselves in their field, because everyone else is like, how did you do that? What did you do? You're now looking different than us. You're getting more funding than we're getting. You're getting more attention and press and all the things that we want because you can communicate it in that way. What did you do differently? And they're now the high performers. They've been able to overcome the not enoughs and get themselves there. But then I realized that there were others who didn't have that same outcome, although they were experiencing the same training, they got the same knowledge, they had the same tools, everything was there for them to do, but they were getting themselves stuck in the not enoughs. And so for the last 3 years, I've been trying to crack the high performance code in the social sector. And so really, what is it? Because if you can lay someone out the path, the tools, the templates, the resources to help them get there, what is that difference? What really will help an organization overcome the curse of the not enoughs? And I've been flying all over the country. If you're, friends with me on Facebook, people say to me, man, you are always on an airplane. And it feels like I am, but I love it. I love it because I get to interact with high-achieving nonprofit leaders all over the country and government leaders all over the country who are looking for solutions. They're looking to play a different game and to play a bigger game. And I've been studying from them, and I've been watching them, and I've been doing my own research, and I've been doing my own field testing in my own organization, and I've been investing in trainings and seminars and workshops and trying to figure it out, and then taking everything that I learn in those trainings and seminars and workshops and bringing it back to our own practices and looking and tweaking and implementing it in the social sector to see what works and what doesn't, because much of the training that I've been attending on my own has to do with the private sector and listening to what these private sector gurus and leaders are teaching, and then taking it back and seeing how does this translate into the social sector? What works? What doesn't work? And why does it work? And why doesn't it work? To crack the code, and I'm here to give you kind of what I've learned in the summary of those answers. And so the major differentiator and why we have 25% of the organizations that have been able to achieve high performance, even once given the templates and tools, is the action and the behaviors of the leaders are different. And some of these leaders, I think, have fallen onto it by accident. It's not that, they're better leaders than others. It's just that they maybe they learn that skill or behavior or best practice from a mentor or a colleague, and they just kind of happened on that information and applied it and it worked. Maybe sometimes it may be more just the way that person is wired or their personality, and it just kind of has worked. And so it's almost like those who have achieved this success or been able to move beyond the curse of the not enough, it doesn't have to do with their ability or their skill level or their knowledge or their competencies or their potential. It really has more to do, in my opinion, with luck and happenstance, because there has not been a lot of money injected into the social sector for professional development and keeping up with what are the best practices and what are the best skills to operate in this new and different world. And so what I found is this ripple effect. And when the leaders change their mindsets, and when I use the word leader, that can mean board members, it can be executive directors, it can mean program directors, it can even mean someone in the line staff who is able to influence others and with their behaviors and their actions. But when they shift their mindsets, then once we change our mind, we can change our behavior. But we aren't going to be able to see behavior change until we change our mindset or our thoughts and actions. Then, once we change our behaviors, we'll start to see the organizational structures change. And then, once the organizational structures change and our processes and our policies change, will we start to see our organizational outcomes and the outcomes for those that we serve. So it starts at the leader's mindset. And so when we change our mindset, then, and not until then, we'll be able to change our results. And I think there are 6 different mindset shifts that leaders need to make as we navigate this new culture and this new environment that we're operating in. And these are the 6 mindset shifts I want to share with you today. And really, I would like you to take some notes if you haven't been already, but to be thinking about, where are you on the continuum of this mindset shift? And have you made this mindset shift in your own culture, in your own work? And have your coworkers and those that you work around, have they made this mindset shift as well? And so think about how this applies to your own reality and your own life. So the first mindset shift that leaders have to make is that I am a pioneer. And so, yes, you are a nonprofit leader, or you're a government leader, or you're volunteering or making a difference in the social sector, but you have to embrace the fact that you're a pioneer, that you have been put here in your position and your role to make a difference and to chart new territory, because change is the only way to success. And change is going to require you to do things differently, to see things differently. So that means it's your job to pioneer the others around you into that new environment or into that new sphere. And whether it's just a small change or a massive rehaul of a system, the high-achieving leaders have embraced that role, that they are a pioneer. And when we think about all the pioneers in our society, it's not always easy. I mean, I drive in the mountains of West Virginia and Appalachia, and I think to myself, somebody had to cross over this mountain range to get to Ohio so my roots and my family could be grounded in the Midwest. And that just amazes me. I think, how did they do it? As a mother with 4 children, I just can't imagine that. But as high-performing, high-achieving social sector leaders, we have to embrace our role as pioneers and realize that with that comes some of the trials and some of the stresses and some of the messiness and dirtiness and unpleasantness and risk-taking that requires to be a pioneer. The second mindset shift that needs to happen is that I am a collaborator. And that is part of my job, and it is part of my role. And yes, you may be a program director or running a mental health organization, but you also have to embrace the fact that I am a collaborator. This notion of collective impact and that funders want organizations to collaborate and come together is not going to go away. The days of siloed funding is getting less and less and less and less. And the more and more and more we start to understand the complexities of social problems and social impact, I think that collaboration is going to become just it is already so important, but even more important. And so the high achieving leaders have embraced that they're collaborators, and they have figured out the best practices and the best strategies to bring others along and which partners to align with to help them move their mission forward. And there's some specific things that high-performing collaborators do. And it's not just about, we have an MOU or we have agreement or our services are co-located. There's how we show up and how we are open and how we view that collective impact and share data and see each other helping us both move our missions forward. So the high-achieving leader has made that shift, that they are a collaborator. The third shift that they have made is that they embrace, or the mind shift that leaders need to make is that I am a strategic planner or a strategic thinker. So again, yes, you are doing your day-to-day work as delivering services or helping people or running an agency, but we have to embrace that we're strategic planners now. And that the days of heartwarming stories alone and pictures of children are going to help us get the resources we need to achieve our mission. I think what we've learned as we've collected more data and done more research as a sector overall is that, problems are complex and challenges are complex, and it's going to require the brightest minds and the most strategic minds and the creative minds to think about how will we solve these complex problems. And that requires strategic thinking, and that requires planning, and it requires implementing the best practices of strategic planning and strategic thinking that we see in world-class for-profit organizations. And it's learning how do we adapt those processes to the social sector. And that's what the high-achieving leaders have embraced, and they've embraced those initiatives, and that helps them get out of the curse of the not enough. And the fourth mindset shift is that recognition that I am a change agent, and that it's your role as a leader to help everybody else see that the landscape has changed, that the environment has changed, and therefore the only way to what they desire and why they're doing the work that they do, which is meaningful, fulfilling, impactful work, will require change. And so high-achieving leaders embrace that role, and they embrace that they are a change agent, and they know and operate and use best practices around change management and helping people through the mess and understanding what works and what doesn't work in their organization in terms of getting towards that change. And they're not just changing themselves, but they're working to change the systems and change the hearts and minds of policymakers and the hearts and minds of their staff to get to that collective impact model and where they want to go. The fifth mindset shift that needs to change is that I am an evaluator. And that, again, you have all these other responsibilities, but evaluation must be part of your decision-making process, and that you're taking on that role of looking at your data and using your data as part of your strategic plan, as part of your change management plan, as part of your vision pioneering plan to help propel and move your mission forward. And we found that in all our cases of the high-performance leaders, this was a foundation of how they were able to get to that next level, was strategically using their data and communicating in a way that propelled action forward. And then the sixth mindset shift is that I am a coach. And that has to do slightly with a change agent, but it's recognizing that you can't just go in and make the change and leave, because then people are going to revert back to their old behaviors. It's understanding that you're going to need to coach and mentor and provide the support that our sector needs as they move through these new transitions in this new era, and keep the momentum high, keep the morale high, be their cheerleader, come up and show up with positivity and a can-do, we'll figure it out, we'll get it done attitude to propel and move your organization forward, even on the days when you're scared to death. Even on the days when you're like, I don't know how this is going to happen, but it's showing up and being positive and being that pioneer that you need to be to get to the outcomes that we need to get. And so there you go. There you have it. There is the framework for the high achieving social sector leaders. And so I would ask yourself today, and I've put it into a model and I've codified it, and for each of these particular mindset shifts that have to happen, we've created best practices and tools and templates and structures that work in the social sector. So not just out into the oh, that will work for IBM. No, we've tested it. We field tested it. We've implemented it in the social sector, and we know it works when applied in government and nonprofit organizations, not to just achieve increased revenue, but to achieve real collective and social impact, to see a real difference in the organizations. And I want to give you an opportunity to learn all of those tools and all of the strategies and cut down the decades worth of learning and researching and interviewing and studying to get those best practices. I would like to give you an opportunity to learn all of these in 2 short days and have everything you need to truly transform your organization. And we'll be offering the Lead for Impact event, which is a 2-day event here in Columbus, Ohio. And I really hope that you consider attending this event or bringing your team to attend this event to learn more about these particular strategies that will help propel you to collective impact. It will get you ready for the new landscape and the new environment we're in, so you can be part of that high performance, high achieving, high performance measurement culture sector, and start to see remarkable differences and be game changers and leaders in your field. And not only at this event will you just learn from me, but you'll be learning from other real-world, high-achieving leaders that are doing this work day in and day out, just like you. So you don't just have to learn from me from the theory and the research point of view, but actually learn from those who are applying it and what challenges they have faced and how have they overcome the curse of the not enough to get to where they want to go and to get to the impact that they want to accomplish. And just a little bit about the details of the event, and then I have a few really exciting stories and things that hopefully you can learn and go, aha, I can do that in my organization, some quick next steps. But in the 2-day event, we'll be giving you workbooks and worksheets with all the templates and tools you'll need to make this work continue throughout your organization. We'll feed you breakfast and lunch and snacks throughout the event. It will be an amazing network opportunity. I have this vision of bringing together, because I get to cultivate the most fantastic sector leaders, and I have a vision of a room full of the highest achieving, mission-driven leaders in the world coming to this event and learning from each other and sharpening each other. And, I see this vision of these leaders that are there and what they're going to accomplish in 3 to 5 years, and people are going to say, why them? And it will all stem back from the knowledge and the learning and the support and the encouragement that they've gotten from each other. And I'm also creating a high achieving leader certification. So you will be the first cohort to be certified as a high achieving leader. And I don't know what that is worth at this point, because this is the first cohort, but it will be something that you can share with your board, or if you are trying to make a career move to a different place, you can acknowledge that you've been through this particular training or program. Or if you're trying to develop up someone underneath you in your organization, it would be a great thing for them to go through as for succession planning or other things that you're looking for them to do. And for one leader ticket, it's $497. But we got a lot of questions, and we got a lot of people saying, that's great, but I'd love to bring my whole team. And we would love for you to bring your whole team too, because that will transform your organization even faster. So in order to accommodate that request, we're now offering a group package for up to 4 people. The total is $997. So all 4 people, quite a deal. Even if you just bring 2 people, it's about the same price. So add 3, and now you've got 3 for the price of 1. Even better if you bring 4. And we'll also give you access to our online training academy that has some other videos and tips and tools around this content. You'll get the Turning Data into Dollars webinar for free. And if people register before April 1st, they'll get a complimentary 1-hour virtual coaching session with me after the event. So I will, you'll go through the event, and then we'll get on the phone or Skype or whatever you prefer after the event to talk about your particular struggles or strategies or where things are working and where they aren't. And I'll help you be very leader focused to pull you into the future and to the high achievement. So I hope you really consider registering. There is a link on this webinar page. You can also go to measurementresourcesco.com and click on live events, and that will take you to the registration page as well, because I would love to be with you these 2 days and cultivate this, I mean, pioneers, game changers. I just get so excited thinking about what this group of leaders who signs up for this can do and the transformation they're going to have for the world. And to wrap things up, I know we're getting near the end of our time, I want to share a story of real life, real practical story, and Lori will be at the event to train as well. But we had the opportunity to work with Western Youth Services out in California and looking at how they collaborate, because there was something unique about the way they collaborated compared to other organizations, and how that was impacting the children in that community and with their mental health outcomes, and really took a very, very data-driven approach and codified what were those elements and best practices of collaboration and how it impacted youth outcomes. And based on our very preliminary data that got us, kind of sparked us to do, now we're doing a pilot study, and we've applied to the Robert Wood Johnson Foundation to do a more national look and real robust look at this work. But we were able to document how collaboration with youth and using these best practice collaboration models with best practice mental health treatment can reverse the trajectory of ACEs. And we all know that adverse childhood experiences has significant impacts on children beyond just their childhood. It will impact their health outcomes, their likelihood to be in prison, their likelihood to have lost income, their likelihood to someday have significant and severe mental health issues, to be addicted, and all of these other these problems that many of your organizations today are faced with and trying to deal with and solve. And in some cases, if we can figure out how to minimize adverse childhood experiences, we may make over long term a significant reduction in a lot of the social problems that we're having. And Lori has been implementing many, if not all, of these 6 mindset shifts in the work that she is doing. And we know that the work that she does saves the city of Anaheim, where most of her services are delivered in their schools, $31 million of potential community costs saved because of their work. And we've been working with her to create an evidence-based model of this so she can scale it and impact so many more people. And where I think she's the epitome of the high-achieving leader is that her vision, when she talks about pioneering, she's looking to, right now, 1 in 5 youth will be experiencing mental health issues, but she wants to change that. So it will be 1 in 10 in this generation. I just give her so much credit for the work that she's done, and I'm so excited she'll be one of our trainers at our 2-day event and come learn about what Lori's done as she's a nonprofit executive director. So learn from an executive director on why she chose to adopt these things and why she values them and how it's transformed their outcomes and the impact that they're having and their vision for the future and the staff that she has. And I mean, her story is just amazing, and it's a privilege to work for her. And I want you to think then about your own work and what would be possible if you could prove you saved your community $31 million in community costs. Or if you're a funder, what would be possible if you knew that the organizations that you fund were saving your community $31 million in community costs? What could you do? What decisions could you make? How could you take that to your stakeholders or your funders? Or how could you leverage or scale the work that you do and be true game changers and field agents? And I just want you to live in that hope And I hope today has been valuable and that you did take the time to reflect on your mindsets and where you are in that continuum of those mindset shifts today. And I want to leave you with the question of who do you want to be in Hero 2? And what do you want your mark to be on this community? And what do you need to do to achieve that change in the world that you desire, that future vision that you see? And just spend some time, if not, right now because you got to rush to another meeting, spend some time maybe in the next few days, by Friday afternoon, just writing that question. Who do you want to be Hero 2? What do you want your legacy to be? And then what shifts, what mindset shifts do you need to take to get to the next level? So I'm always available for you to reach out to me. I'm highly accessible. Feel free to give me a call, give me an email if you have any follow-up thoughts or follow-up questions you want to ask me about. I hope you consider joining us this April to becoming one of our generation's highest performing leaders that have truly made a difference in the world. And we look back on and think, wow, they changed our industry. They changed how we think about this problem and how we go about solving that problem. That would be my vision, my dream for you, and how I want to be, who I want to be Hero 2. So thanks again for your time today. I look forward to chatting with you soon. Until next time, keep measuring and achieving excellence. Bye-bye.